Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Emerging Pod, where we guide emerging people into emerging career. Today's guest is Khuyen Tran. Khuyen majored in statistics in May last year, and she's now an MLOps engineer at Oslo Consulting. Despite being early in her career, she's already a prolific writer with more than 80 articles on Medium, with a lot of them featured on Towards Data Science. She also has a large following online with more than 80,000 followers on LinkedIn. Khuyen, welcome to the pod.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks. Did I miss anything in my intro?
Yeah, I mean, you didn't really miss anything. It just, you're right that I have over 80 articles, but it's more like 150 articles.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I tried to do a quick count and I was surprised to find every time I would scroll, I'd find more and more.
Yeah, it's hard to count. Thank you for actually taking the time to count. It's crazy.
No problem. So you studied statistics. How did you get into it? Why did you choose statistics?
Yeah, so initially I chose actuarial science, right?
Mm-hmm.
If, for listeners who don't know about this, it's kind of like statistics. You use statistics to um, predict risk, and they often work for insurance companies. And the reason why I chose that major initially because I love math, right? So I start with liking math, and I want to find a career that I can apply it. And then it, I have an internship, and I didn't like it, so I was like, okay, what do I like? So at the time, I read some biology book, and I enjoy it. So I'm like, okay, let's do biomath. And I took biology classes and I hated it. I got an A, but um, I found that remembering things is very boring to me. I like to figure things out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, the common denominator between all of these majors are math. So I'm just gonna change it to applied math. Then I joined a conference and I learned more about data science, and I took some internships in those, and I found that statistics have courses that more align to the types of knowledge I want to gain in if I want to be a data scientist. So I switched to statistics. So that's kind of my journey. Funny enough, I took a lot of time to figure out what I like to do with my major, but I'm not really using a tons of statistics right now. Uh, anyway,
Yeah, you found you came across something called data science.
hmm
When did you come across the concept of data science? What was your
yeah, definitely. I was not aware of it until my sophomore year. So I wanted to find something that I can apply my love for statistics, and definitely I don't want to be a professor because I love to teach, but they don't make a lot of money. Um, so I joined a math conference, and the speaker, he was a math PhD, and at the time he was a data engineer, and he talked about how much he loved what he's doing right now. And after the speech, I went to him and asked him more about what is data engineer, what is data science, and he uh, co- he gave me some books and resources. And the first book that he introduced me to is, oh shoot, I can't remember. It's something about, it's very popular book. I think build machine learning with uh, TensorFlow and scikit-learn, something like that.
Mm.
And at the time, I already know Python. So it was like, okay, this sounds cool. Data science is seems to be an intersection between Python and math. So I'll give it a try. So that's how it gets started.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Like it's very interesting. And I guess before you started, have you had any experience with coding at all before?
Yes, I did. Very, very it's minimal, right? So the reason why I get started with learning Python is I tried to get into the research with this math professor and he used Python. So I rent I got a book from the library uh,
Mhm.
about Python, and I just basically learn a new chapter every day, right? I would take that book, take what I learned from the book and actually code and follow along and try something out. So that was very fun. So I know that I could do something with Python. Like I would probably be happy if I have a career that has something to do with Python. But at the time, I was just kind of try out Python. I really didn't know what I'm gonna do with it, and
Mhm.
it paid off.
Nice, nice. And when did you start writing about Python and what you're learning?
Yeah, definitely. So after I heard about data science, I wanted I want to get into the field. So my plan at the time was okay, every day I would spend 1 hour to learn data science, right? And uh, the way that I did it is through taking courses and um, do Kaggle projects, right?
Hmm.
And I, st- I found myself not interested in what I was doing. I was like, oh, this seems so boring. I didn't really enjoy the project that I was doing on Kaggle, right? And the courses are fine, but I find myself kind of passively learn um, the knowledge from the courses.
Mhm.
So I found a new way. I wanted to try something else out. And also at the time, I was trying to apply for science internships. And I sent a tons of applications, right? More than 100 applications, but
Oh
there
wow.
are no replies. So I was like, okay, I need to try something else out. So I start writing article as a way for me to build my portfolio as well as document what I learned. And I'm so glad I did. At the time, I set the goal to write at least one article per week, right? So what I mean by at least is sometimes I would write one article per week and sometimes I would write 3 articles per week. So I really push on writing articles. And the benefits that I found from writing article exceed the initial benefits that motivate me to write article. First, I retain my knowledge better. Secondly, by writing down what I understand, I start to get a sense of how much I actually understand and what do I need to learn more to fill in the hole in my knowledge. Um, and also after I don't know couple of articles, I don't remember the number, but I also start to get attractions from employers.
Hmm.
So I got more and more offers from LinkedIn. uh, People from LinkedIn reaching out to me to ask me to join their companies, right? So that's how I have, I don't know, 4 internships related to data science during school. Um, and it accelerates my career for sure.
Nice, nice. That's and you were doing that while you were studying, right? You also had classes and
Yeah.
exams.
And I kept a
Nice.
4.0 GPA as well.
Nice, nice. And
I don't think it's necessary, but I was having straight A's, so I want to keep it up. Now that I think about it, I the GPA is really not important at all for, like, yes, it gets me the first job, but is the contribution of it is minimal compared to what I have shown through my articles.
mm,
So if I could redo, I think I would, you know, take it easy, a little bit is more easy on my GPA and focus more on developing my brand. But I anyway, so I
yeah,
it's still good. It's not bad. It's still fine.
yeah, it's better to have than not to have. And totally
Mm-hmm.
agree with you. I guess I maybe came to that realization while I was in university, and also maybe it was convenient for me where I was like, oh, okay, I just need to have this level, and I know
Mm-hmm.
I'll get a good job, and the rest of the time I can just do what I want. So, but I was nowhere near as productive as you are. And yeah, definitely once I got my first job, I realized, okay, well, now no one's really going to look at your degree once you have your first job. They're just going to look at, okay, what did you
Exactly.
do in the previous job? And
Right. Yeah, that's why I put my GPA in the bottom of my resume now, right?
mm,
I think in the future, as I get more experience, I probably just get it
yeah.
out of the way because it's not as important as experience for sure.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so it's interesting. So you started writing on Medium first, right? And how did you? I guess did you start writing on Medium and then start publishing it on your LinkedIn? How did you approach it?
Yeah, so I started to write on Medium, and I also submitted to towards data science. And
Hmm.
I guess I don't know. Maybe I'm lucky, or I don't know. But tons of more than 95% of my articles are accepted were accepted to towards data science, and they very picky about which articles to accept. So I think in a way maybe they like the ideas that I bring, but also, maybe it just happened at the time they more easy. Um,
Hmm.
but I also share my articles on LinkedIn, and that's all I did at the time, right? So I write articles, share LinkedIn, write articles, share LinkedIn. Only, I guess, 2 years ago that I started to do post daily tips on LinkedIn as well.
So you were posting your articles, and that get started getting you attention from employers, and you land a couple of internships
Hmm.
through those. What was the first internship that you got?
Uh, it was the first one is, see, it's called data science, but I do more like web framework, like developing website using the Django.
Mm,
I would say the more related one, the first internship that is more related to data science is my second one, which is with phrase science, and I as a data science intern. So phrase science, they is a technology that try to uses data to bring insights to trucking companies.
mm,
So since I was one of the three data scientists there, I was able to build an end-to-end machine learning pipeline, and that was very cool. And I also it really helped me to realize what I like and what I don't like about being a data scientist. And what I realized is that even though, as much as I thought that I would enjoy training a machine learning model because my background is statistics, I realized that I didn't enjoy doing that. I found that it's so much more fun for me to build the infrastructure to make sure that the project is reproducible and maintainable, because when you, I guess it could also be the ways I approach a problem, but at the time I feel like there is no ending point and I don't see my progress. um,
Mm,
the model can, you know, let's say it's 80% accuracy, right? It could be improved. So you experiment with other parameters, other, maybe other way of doing feature engineering, and you iterate on it, and then so you just do a tons of experiments, and I feel like I just get stuck in the research phase. I don't really see a product
mm,
out of what I've done. But as I feel like building pipeline, building infrastructure uh, is more fun because I can actually see the progress. I can see, okay, I finished this, and then I finished that, and then let's go to the next one.
mm.
I like it more. Anyway, so the internship is very helpful for me to define what I like and don't like about being a data scientist, especially when that the term data scientist is very broad. You know, it could mean a variety of things.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you just said that one of your first internship, it was actually the company needed web development, but they might advertised it as they were looking for data scientists.
Yeah.
And as companies are trying to adopt it and are trying to get into it, they are all at different stages. Some of them don't have any data, and the work that you have to do is a lot of web scraping or capturing that
Hmm.
data, and others are much more advanced where you can actually just build the pipelines and try and use more cutting edge technology.
I
Uh,
agree.
in that first team, you mentioned there's two other data scientists. Were they more senior than you?
Yes, because I was an intern.
Hmm.
But one data scientist is, he doesn't do machine learning. He do optimization. So you know, um, I try to summarize what he does, but um, he's basically there's constraints, and he try to optimize a score based on the constraints. That's kind of
Hmm.
like a broad way to talk about it. And another data scientist, he's my mentor, and um, he's more of the architecture of the project. So he have the vision of how this is going to be put all together. He understand how the data science, the machine learning model will be delivered to other team members, such as data
Hmm.
engineers, or the data engineer will how it will be, how they will deliver the data to me. So he's more of the architecture than the, so he's the architecture of the project. He didn't really, um, it was me who do a lot of the implementations for um, his ideas.
Nice. That sounds like an ideal first role where you were given enough
Hmm.
responsibilities, where you still had senior people that could help and guide you, but you also had a
Hmm.
lot of responsibilities so you can grow. I guess, did you ever feel um, any form of imposter syndrome when getting into the role?
Oh yeah, definitely. I try to think back, but yeah, I mean, whenever, because we have meetings, right, and in those meetings it's daily stand up. So I would tell people what I have done, um, and the people that my team members, most of them are data engineers or, you know, business manager, right?
Hmm.
So a lot of time when I explain some sort of machine learning models to them, I found that is kind of, I don't know, I feel like I wonder if they, when they heard what I say, they're like, oh, she just tried to play with different approach to do this, and she doesn't really have a concrete solution. So I don't know if that's more like me or a lot of data scientists feel that way when they present their machine learning model.
Yeah, yeah, there's definitely a communication barrier there. And I mean, especially when you're a technical person, you like to talk about the technical aspect
Yeah,
and especially the
especially.
challenges that you've come across. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's because if you talk to a person who not a machine learning practitioner, you want to shape it in terms of use cases, right? Not really the technique of how you do it, but then a lot of time to report the progress, like do a daily stand up to report the progress. You need to talk about the technique because so it's just hard to find the balance there.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And I guess how do you balance it out now? What have you learned? Have you learned how to balance it out?
Now I mean I switched to machine learning engineer role, which I really like. And a lot of my team members, I mean, all of them are engineers. Um, so whatever I say, they understand. So it's a different situation. So I don't have a solution for the previous problem.
That's fair. That's fair. But it's interesting as well because you are a very good communicator. I think that's one of the reason why your articles were accepted in Towards Data Science. The way you write is very clear and concise, and you lay out information really well. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's typically you do convey technical information, so it's interesting
Mhm.
uh, to see that situation. Um, so as you finished your first internship, you're going back to uni, your following online is growing. Do you remember the first time where you realized that you actually have a large following?
That is so. Yeah, I didn't really realize it. Not even now when I have a large followers on LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
I was not aware of it. I mean, sometimes I am, but a lot of time I am not. It's kind of like when you get above a certain threshold, more than that, it just feel like it's just a big number, right?
Mhm.
I started to realize I have a big following. I guess just from people messaging me and say, "Hey, you have a large followers. Do you, how do you do that?" Or I like you to work with us. I those are the moments that I realize, oh, I actually building something here, right?
Mhm.
Because like it's kind of like a snowball effect where at the beginning, right, I post. So not even the beginning, since the last 2 years, right, I have been posting uh, a short Python tips every day, right?
Mhm.
And as I keep posting, my number of followers increase, but because it happens so it doesn't happen suddenly, it happens steadily over time.
Mhm.
It is hard for me to realize that, oh, I actually have a big number of followers now.
Mhm. Do you have a target, a goal for this year?
Oh, I don't. I do have. I mean, for LinkedIn, I think it's something that I wouldn't say I achieve it, but it's some for me. What is important is not the number of followers, but um, the consistency, right?
Mhm.
Can I keep doing it over time as I get a full time job, and
Mhm.
um, as the time goes on, for me my goal is to keep uh, posting very great content every day. and I want it to be even better than what I'm having right now, right? Um, and to do that is, in a way, it's challenging, but it also a great challenge to have, because as I think I have posted over 700 tips, right? So
Yeah.
you would think that I run out of ideas, but for some reasons the idea still that I still have more ideas. So I'm very glad with that. uh, the goals though, I set goals towards the new platform that I try to increase the followers, which is YouTube, right?
Mm.
Because I I guess the reason why I first of all, I started YouTube, I think last year. However, I only started to be very serious on that in the last couple of months.
Hmm.
And I see a lot of potential for YouTube, right? It's a new way for me to communicate my understanding. For example, for Medium, it is a long form written piece of content, right?
Hmm.
For LinkedIn, it's a very short form piece of content, and for YouTube, it's videos. So I want to expand YouTube so that I can communicate with more audience in a different ways.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you mentioned now YouTube. One of them that I thought, at least, especially people that are in tech tend to also
Mhm.
put effort in, is Twitter. What
Oh
was
yeah, I
Is
also
there a
have Twitter.
reason? Yeah, is there? But your Twitter is not necessarily as big as your LinkedIn. Is it intentional, or is it that maybe you just didn't put the same amount of effort initially?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? So I never check my Twitter, even though do the same thing as, so I whatever I post on LinkedIn, I post on
Hmm.
Twitter, right? Most
Hmm.
of the time. Um, However, I think I don't, I never check my Twitter notifications. I think because it's a little bit, I don't want to waste time, I guess, but it's more. I sorry, I it's the statistics of Twitter compared to LinkedIn is very, it's it's not as good as LinkedIn,
Hmm.
um, and I don't think it's the amount of effort that I put in it. It's more that for my type of content, it is better for LinkedIn than
Hmm.
Twitter. Um, and I heard from other companies as well, other tech companies, where they found that the engagement on LinkedIn is so much better than Twitter, right? So I can see that that's a reason why. And probably another reason is, I'm not sure, I haven't tried with that, but for me, right, I don't take a lot of effort in engagement, which means that I will answer comment when I want, and
Hmm.
sometimes I just don't, because I feel that I want to spend time on creating more content instead of spend time on answering the questions of a few people, because I feel like I can serve more people that way. However, that might hurt my Twitter account, because I feel like for Twitter you need to have kind of back and forth
Hmm.
conversations, and I'm not doing that right now, and that's okay. I'm much rather focus on my content than to expand my followers on Twitter.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I think you're right. Like, the content that you've put is definitely better for LinkedIn. Twitter, you need to create threads, and yeah, you need to engage in the
Yeah.
conversation with those threads, and that's what's going to essentially get the algorithm to like share your content.
Hmm.
And yeah, I like your role. I think it's an interesting way and I think healthy way of looking at it, where you know that, okay, my focus is on just creating a lot of content. I'm very consistent with it, and I don't necessarily need to engage as much, whereas other people might be more like, I'm going to create 1 or 2 pieces of content but engage a lot more. I think
Yeah,
both
it's just
strategies are
different
probably
goals.
valid. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. um and so at some point you also launched your website. What was
Mhm.
the idea behind it, creating
Yeah.
your website?
So I, at the time, right, I posted on LinkedIn, like I think I have posted around 200 or 150 posts on LinkedIn, right?
Hmm.
And a lot of people was like, oh, how can I find your previous tips, right?
Oh.
Because not a lot of people was there when I first started, right? And also it's kind of time consuming for them to go back to all my previous posts. And if they want to search, if they want, let's say they want to save the post for later, right?
Hmm.
Then they save the LinkedIn post. Um, and another thing, so it's kind of inconvenient. So I wanted to create a website that I can save all my posts, right? So that's one reason. Another reason is, what if you are not on LinkedIn every day, right? And
True.
it's very common for people not to be on LinkedIn every day. But people do check their email. I guess most of people check the email every day. So that's creating a website also another way for me to send newsletter to them, so that they don't need to go to LinkedIn in order to
Hmm.
see my posts. So at the I experiment with different ways. At the beginning, I send newsletter every day, right?
Hmm.
And then a person email me and say, "Oh, I love your newsletter, but can you decrease the frequency because I feel like it's too much." So I start to send 3 days per week now. So Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and each have 2 tips in it. And I try to do a thing. I don't know if people notice, but on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I post about tools, right? Tools that
Mm.
you need to install. On Tuesday and Thursday, I write about Python building methods or libraries, so that I can have a mix of content that is tailored to both beginners and advanced users.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Any particular reason you chose those days for the different topics, or did you just experiment?
I just want to have, because yeah, I just choose some days and stick with it. For me, if I want to do, I try to put the, I guess, schedule and rules for most of the things I do, right?
Hmm.
Otherwise, I will not. I find it so much harder for me to keep up with it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's useful to have, so you don't have to every day. You don't have to think about, okay, what topic am I posting about today?
Exactly, right? It's kind of reduce the mental, uh, like
Mental load.
your mental load, and also um, y- prevent you from having decision fatigue, right? Because
Yeah,
as you make more decisions, I think they say your willpower is limited, something like that. Like as you make decisions, the willpower will decreases over time. And so I don't want to do that. I want to spend for something else. So that's why I, just create some sort of structure.
yeah, definitely. The main thing that consumes brain energy is making decisions, and the more we can automate things, the more. That's why we create routines in our lives, is so we can do things without
Exactly.
having to think about it too much.
Yeah, create habit, right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
we just do it. You don't really think about, oh, should I do it or not? No, you just do
You
it.
just go for it. So you've tried to get some jobs through LinkedIn, but I also noticed that you've posted I don't know what it's called, is a service on LinkedIn where you
Mhm,
essentially review a data product from companies and provide them with
mhm,
feedback, and you can also share it with your audience.
mhm, mhm.
When did you start doing that, and how's that going?
Yeah, it's only recently that when I got laid off, it was like, okay,
Hmm.
why did I start doing it? Okay, so there's this company, right? They reach out to me and they're like, oh, we want you to look at our product and we want to pay you. Okay, I can do that, and so what I found is that I can so I met with this company, right? And they gave me a demo about what their product is about. And since I have seen so many open source libraries in
Mhm.
the domain of Python and data science, I know what are out there and what libraries can possibly be their competitors.
Hmm.
So I would ask them, okay, um, so what I see that you guys, this functionality is similar to this company. What make you guys better than them, right? And if they know the companies, they're like, oh, we can do A, B, C, D. But I think the company I talked to, they don't know about other companies. So
Mhm.
I just basically give them my opinion. I said, for this aspect, you guys are doing better. So that will attract new users. So you should focus your marketing strategy on that. But for this one, you guys are not doing as well as other companies, right? So and I because they thought that they are very easy to use, but I said that not really. There's other tools. That this tool that is easier to use than you guys, right? And here
Mhm.
are why. So they really like my ideas, they really like my suggestions, and I also give them actionable bullet points to start working on that are easy to be improved. So they like that and they want to book another session with me. So I was like, okay, I actually can do this. So I just put out a service for that. I also, yeah. So besides that, I also some companies also approach me to post about that, right? As you might expect. But I very careful with which companies I accept because I want my followers to they have a best experience when they read my post, right? I want my post to keep
Mhm.
being high quality, so I only accept posting about companies that I actually like their product.
Hmm. Yeah, it makes sense. Very important. Like the main thing you have is the trust that all these people that are following you
Right.
have, and yeah, you have to take care of that.
Mhm.
And I guess so. You mentioned you're also going into YouTube. Is one of the appeals for you in YouTube also the fact that you could monetize the content that you're generating on there?
Yes, that's eventually I want to get there, right? Where I can earn revenue from YouTube and also from sponsors. So from ads and from sponsors. And it also a way for me to reach out to more audience that I cannot reach from Medium and LinkedIn alone,
Hmm.
so that in the future, if I want to create courses and books and I want to spread the word, I have another platform for me to spread the word about my work.
Makes sense. And did you consider posting content on TikTok as well?
Oh man, great question. Many people ask me that. Not okay. I shouldn't say many. Few people ask me that, and Yeah, I don't see why not, right? But I just haven't done it. I already create YouTube
Hmm.
shorts on YouTube. I could start posting on TikTok. I haven't done that just because I was at there's another platform for me to manage.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
but but I think I will try it. Give it a try. Um, soon.
Yeah, that's fair. To be fair, even getting into YouTube and video in itself is creating videos. Well, I guess you, especially you, have a very probably nice process now to create content, whether it's your
Mhm,
code snippets, the content that you write on Medium, creating
mhm,
video because it's a different. It now requires you to learn and build a process and on
mhm.
how to do that. And I think there's probably differences in formats between YouTube Shorts and TikTok. Probably
Yeah.
not that
Oh no, it's the
significant at the start.
same format. You can just
Same format.
repost.
Okay.
Yeah, but I haven't done a lot of YouTube Shorts because I really want to focus on. Yes, YouTube Short is shorter to create, but my intent is to bring values
Hmm.
the through my long form. I say long, but I try to keep it short, right? Under 10 minutes. I
Hmm.
try to bring values through that, and every time I spend on YouTube Short is also when I took away that time from creating longer form. So I still try to figure out the way to do it efficiently. I could, say, okay, for every long form I create YouTube short, right? I could do something like that. It's still a experiment phase for me.
Hmm.
I mean, it's experiment phase for everything I create, right? Even LinkedIn, I still experiment with different format and what works, what doesn't work.
Yeah, yeah. And so now you're growing, you're adding YouTube to it. What's the, I guess, what's your goal? What's your vision maybe for your career? Because you do have a very interesting profile and career where not only do you have the technical ability and you're actually starting your career from the technical field and learning and delivering value on that end, but you're also creating a presence online and building an audience, building your profile. What's the vision for Khuyen in 2025, 2026?
Yeah, I have a lot of goals and ideas. I could see that, eventually I like to have my own business, and I haven't figured out yet, but I am taking small steps at a time to get there. Um, Eventually, I want to be able to do full time on YouTube,
Hmm.
and my content, and do contracts, work with companies on the side, right?
Hmm.
And when I say work with companies, that could mean that I provide them, um, services related to their product, right?
Hmm.
Or provide engineering solutions to their existing problem. So I can see that go two ways. Um, when I say, yeah, I still try to figure it out. I am actively think about it, for sure.
Out of curiosity, actually, I just thought about it. What's your favorite tech stack to work with?
Oh, okay. When you say tech stack, do you mean?
You have to build a data pipeline.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I'm a little bit biased, right? I used to work at Prefect, so Prefect
Mm.
is one of them. So Prefect for orchestration, DVC for data version control, weights and biases for experiment tracking, MLEM, which is another product of Iterative, the creator of DVC,
Mm.
for machine learning deployment. I love poetry
Mm.
for dependency management. It's very convenient. Docker for containerized environment, like pre commit is
Yeah,
very important.
yeah.
Um,
That's pretty complete. That's pretty complete, to be fair. Definitely, so definitely a big fan of pre-commit as well.
yeah, I could think more, but just I don't know, hard to get on at top of my head.
Yeah, I've just put you on the spot, and also you're probably reviewing a lot of different tools every
Yeah,
week to
yeah.
create content. Um, any advice you would give to students or anyone trying to break into data science?
I would recommend that spend less time on courses and spend more time on actually do the projects, and also start try to find your first data science job, even if you feel like you are not good enough. um, so apply before you feel ready, right? uh,
Hmm.
because I saw a lot of people was like, oh, after I take this courses and I take this second courses and I take this third courses, then I'll apply, right? But you should take a step back. Okay, first of all, looking at job applications, um, looking at different jobs, and see what are the types of jobs that I want to do, right? Maybe if you want to be a data scientist, looking at different data scientist roles and see what is a kind of like the popular tools that they
Hmm.
want you to know, and maybe start from there, start learning it and do some projects with it. And the projects will help you define what you like and don't like, um, about a data science project. Also, another thing is very important, networking, right?
Hmm.
um, I would say do that more than spend time applying for jobs, because you don't know, um, how. First of all, networking is important for you to understand what is out there, right? Understand about the jobs that you maybe reach out to people who with the titles that you want to have, and ask them about their day to day, about what they like about it, what they don't like about it, right? So just having conversations, just ask a lot of questions, try to learn as much as possible and be respectful. And as you do more of that, you will build connections, right? And what I found is that my intention for those calls, sorry, were not to, um, it was just to learn from them, but
Hmm.
a lot of time they would offer to refer me, right?
Hmm.
Because they like me as a person, or they like my they already know my skills, but now they like me as a person. So they will be more likely to refer me, even though I did not ask them to refer me, right? And
Hmm.
of course, having referral will keep you have a way better chance than people who don't have referral. So, so I would advise spend a large chunk of your time, maybe 40%, 50% on projects, right?
Hmm.
Another, let's say 30% on networking, and the rest on job application. I just found that's worked for me, but maybe other people will have different experience with that.
Nice. Yeah. No, I totally agree with the spread. Uh, Build projects, show what you can do, talk to people, so you can learn more and they can see what you can do, and that's the best recipe to find the job you like.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of good for you to, because another thing you like to avoid is have a job that you hate, right?
True.
And if you don't understand about, okay, what are the red flags and what to avoid, or like what question to ask in the interviews, which you can gain from talking to people who already been through all of those. If you don't know about those, you might, even if you get a job, you might get a job that, let's say, a data science job that only do Excel, right? Or something like that. I don't know. But so, or you have a terrible manager, right? Or they have kind of like unrealistic requirements. So you want to know what are the things to avoid by talking to tons of people.
Yeah, very good point. Very good point. You don't want to, learn how to use Python ML framework and then land a job that requires you to use Excel to do
Yeah,
the job.
exactly. You're like, no.
Khuyen, this was a great conversation. Thank you very much for taking the time to be on the pod with me. Is there anything you would like to share? Anything you'd like to shout out? Um,
Yeah, so if you like to learn more about my work, um, just maybe get a dose of daily Python tips per day, you can go to my website at mathdatasimplified.com. Um, and you can also follow me on YouTube with the same title. I also on LinkedIn and Twitter with the name Queen Chang, which I assume you're gonna put that name in the title of the podcast because I feel like spelling it will make it more confusing to people.
yeah, I'll put your name will be on the title and also put links to your website, YouTube, and LinkedIn in the show notes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.